RNG's first game back in the LPL has been a single match victory so far against JDG, but it's still a best of 3 set to go, and JDG are not going down without a fight. But let's take a look at what's happening at Team WE versus Snake. This is the match that we had to cut away from due to some technical difficulties. A Baron steal coming out from SOFM, moving forward, trying to chase down Team WE. They immediately rotated and picked up that Mountain Dragon that was spawning, decreasing the gap that was between Team WE as well as Snake, pulling them back into that second match.
Yeah, SOFM coming up with some hero plays for Snake, and of course those delays are now over, so you can see the game over on Panda, or do you?
Yep.
But now it's RNG over here for us against JD.
I'm going to go into that match as soon as possible. The second game between RNG as well as JDG, and the early game and mid game was fairly quiet and back and forth between RNG as well as JD. They had some picks here and there, a couple of skirmishes, but no full-blown fight until that pick took place against Logan.
Yeah, it was one moment that really lost the entire game, and of course you can see on your screen Casa is coming in whilst MLXG subs out after a victory, so perhaps just getting a bit of extra practice between each of these teams, and we'll have to see if any other subs happen for RNG, because we know they've also got a different top laner available.
Yeah, we've been told something about the top lane, but that's not confirmed just yet. It could still be Tai playing up there. We'll give you that update as soon as we possibly can.
因为这里是我们自己的主场嘛，所以会有一种家的感觉吧。然后就，今天第一次来到这个场馆嘛，就是给我的感觉就比之前去过的其他场馆都要好一些吧。然后就感觉挺不错的啊。
One day in, just one day in, and he already feels comfortable at this stadium.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be his new home crowd, so there's nothing like going home. It's just, it's going to be a new thing for him to adjust to, but it seems like it's not going to take too long to adjust. But I will say, he hasn't seen Xi'an. That place looks sick. RNG definitely has that fight cage style to it, though. I'd put it top 3.
Well, one day we'll see them go up against one another. Not yet. But that's the question, really. Cross-conference. WE against RNG. Who goes where?
I mean, WE's playing against Snake right now, and that's in, is it Xi'an? It's in Xi'an.
It's in Xi'an.
So Snake had to leave the pit, and maybe they just flip a coin.
Flip a coin. If heads, you get your stadium. Ta-da!
Well, I mean, actually, I won't say that at all. They play each other twice because it's regular conference play, so they'll just go to different arenas, presumably, for each of those times. But
wait, what? But RNG, WE, not same conference.
No, I'm not talking about that, am I?
Oh, WE Snake.
No.
Yeah, my question was RNG, WE, Rusty.
Come on. They 1v1 Mundo Volleyball in Baron Pit.
Okay.
If you don't know what that is, look it up. It's actually the best way to 1v1 anyone. I'm undefeated.
No, I am the best at Mundo Volleyball, and there he is. Mr. Let Me himself.
I just can't be the best if I'm undefeated. Yeah, I'm just throwing that one out there.
No, I beat you. It's on record. But Let Me coming into the top lane against the Tai.
Yeah, Let Me coming in. Again, this is both subs for RNG. So Casa is in, Let Me is in. I don't think there is a rhyme or reason besides giving practice and more so even showing face for both of these players. Their first home set, you may as well get the whole band together, get them to come out and play some League of Legends. And now that RNG is 1-0 up, what better time to bring in not necessarily the reinforcements, but the rest of the team.
I mean, this is the team that played in the last set against Kingzone. This is this roster that they used in the finals of MSI. Casa didn't play throughout most of the group stages and early matches, but came in once playoffs started, played a little bit more than MLXG then. On top of that, there's been a lot of discussions with the big meta shifts. If it stays this way, who is your international representative? Because we see from Snake already, they've taken out Crystal. They're saying we're going to play with 2 supports for now, and we're going to adapt to their meta by putting one of them mid lane. Put Guoguo in the bottom lane with that support, give SOFM the second one. Potentially, RNG have a couple of strategies with rotating their top laner or even jungler this time around.
Yeah, potentially so. Of course, in that first game, Uzi was top laning, and maybe not the ideal strategy in the end, but it was effective enough for them to get the victory. And bringing in Casa and Let Me, you'd almost expect more standard play out of the entire team of RNG. Let Me is a very conventional top laner. He's an Ornn. That's all you really know him for because that's all he needs to be, but he's very good at Ornn. Casa, slower, more cerebral, slower pace type of tracking jungler compared to that of MLXG, who in the MSI finals we saw him sacrificing himself for his team's success. That's the kind of player that Casa is, and I mean, coming into a new meta, can they be crazy? Yeah, probably, but it's not likely.
He also provides reason to the team. It's very calm with the way he shot calls and talks about the game. Yes, gets heated and fired up when his team is in the team fight itself. Makes some very smart decisions for the squad. especially during their downtime and when it comes to strategy. We'll have to see how that changes for RNG throughout the rest of the split, because they were swapping back and forth all the way to the finals.
I think more so we actually have to explore how things change for JD Gaming here. RNG, they've changed their players. We'll find out what they're doing. But for JD, it didn't work in game number 1. The Zoe, early priority champion, this time around still high priority champion, is going to be banned away to start draft.
Immediately, Nocturne as well as Fiddlesticks follow through as the first 2 bans that come out from RNG. Now, JD, when they were up against IG's Jackula, they took away 3 of his 80 carries during the ban phase. This time, only really respecting Uzi's Kai'Sa.
Yeah,
Tart, Kenshin, Shen taking it away, and why not? Why not just go for Lucian, but instead picking up Alistar? This is a pick that a couple of teams are prioritizing as their first pick of choice, the cow in the bottom lane.
I like the Alistar first rotation from RNG, but you'd have to expect that the Lucian will now be locked in by a JD, alongside the potential of the Camille, 2 of our champions that through the first week of the LPL have been 100% pick ban. JD could lock them both in at once if they choose, which they don't.
They go for Xayah instead, getting a priority pick on their 80 carry of choice. Let's see how RNG respond. Kai'Sa, don't do it to me. You're not going to do it, so don't break my heart, buddy.
You can probably feel the ground shaking upon that hover. It's no Teemo, but Master Yi in the current meta seems to excite everyone equally as much.
But it will be Uzi probably picking up the Lucian. Yes, Xiaohu can take it into mid lane. Let me could potentially throw it to top side of the map, but just seems fitting that Uzi plays the more dominant 80 carry with the current meta.
Yeah, and on the opposite side for JD, you'd expect that Rakan may be the support you go towards. One of the only reasons that Xayah still exists in competitive League of Legends is because the Rakan is enabling it further. You always see that duo as they come together, whereas on the opposite side for RNG, they've put the Lulu there with the Lucian, not necessarily going to be the bottom lane for Ming, can actually be a mid laner now, and predominantly so, I should say, is a mid lane. Alistar already confirming that fact.
And when the Juggermore comp was very popular in the LCK a couple of years ago, it was all about Lulu as well as Kog'Maw, but Lucian could also be thrown into that to be a little bit more aggressive and dash in aggressively into the back line. Now with the SS3 for changes, makes it even more successful to be able to run it at the moment. Let's see how it pans out for them. But the Lovers lane in the bottom lane for JD gets completed. Rakan is picked up as their supportive choice. Singed, the first ban from JD.
The contrast here compared to a lot of the other games of League that we've watched this week is very noticeable. There is one flex through the first 3 picks here for each respective team, and that's a Camille, who we have seen primarily in the jungle role and actually coupled very well with a Lulu. So it's a good takeaway from RNG and good for their composition, of course, as well. But Zoom's a very prolific Camille player who does a lot of work if he gets the pick. So that's the only real flex we're seeing. And we are seeing top lane bans.
But it's just so ironic, Rusty, that we're not seeing 5 melee champions. We're going, this is a bit unorthodox from JD and RNG, not quite with the current meta. You know, it's not a big clown fiesta. No cars and clown horns going around, but it said Kale's the final ban.
That's a ban.
Aurelia was the first ban that came out from RNG during the second ban phase. Now looking for their final before Loken gets the 4th pick for JD Gaming.
Big fan of the Kale ban. I'm also a fan of the Kale pick if we saw it, so I'm upset that it's banned is what I should be saying. Of course, Kale working with this composition. If ever there was a champion you should be excited about right now, it is Uzi with the new Essence Reaver on Lucian. He got himself the world's ice skating around with Lucian, just beating teams that should have been better than him. And you get to see that again live.
Yeah, you will. We'll have to see if they throw any more supports his way, because with the Kale being banned out, it could hint that RNG might be trying to protect Uzi.
We forgot about Talia for a little while here through the draft. Just a brief hover there from JD Gaming. They choose the Cassian here, but just remember, Talia exists, high tempo, strong early game jungler. Has Kai'Sa been quick to pick that one up? Because the toss, the flick, is sometimes difficult to actually use. We've seen the LCK people blunder it and throw it back.
But Mundo got top link for Let Me at the moment. We'll have to see if Camille's going to be his enemy, or if it's going to go to Clid in the jungle. There's still a flex pick that is available for JD, where they lock in Cassiopeia for Yakao. Final pick for RNG to reveal what the rest of their composition looks like, but so far, it's all been about trying to make sure that all eyes are on Dr. Mundo, and everyone else is there to protect Uzi is picking up Lucian. However, Xin Zhao, final pick for Kai'Sa, heading into the jungle.
Okay, so we lock in the Xin Zhao, and when you look at JD's composition against their opponents, I was going to say you've got 2 options that you can play if you're picking a top laner. Camille is primarily going to be a jungler. Number 1 is fight the Mundo, and I think Fiora is personally a better option than anything else. You've also got, you know what, that works. I'm just going to let him go because it's Zoom. The other option is a tank like the Ornn, which we're not going to be seeing.
No.
And the Ornn is better for the team fighting. It's a Cassiopeia that works with a Xayah Rakan. That's very good upfront damage where the Cassiopeia can protect the AD carry with Rakan. Between the trio, really good team fighting, good skirmishing. And so you can pick a tank to complement that and go the Ornn, start the team fights off for your team, or you could pick something that split pushes and draws pressure away from what is a strong trio that you already have.
Which is going to be the gameplay. It's a Pirate's life for Zoom in the top lane up against Mundo. Seems like JD really want to scale into the late game.
Voice?
I don't know.
Was that
I think it was Pulse.
That was rough.
Yeah, he kind of just jumped in there, I think. But it's going to be gameplay picked up in the top lane, trying to scale into the late game. We've seen quite a few gameplay picks by a variety of teams, and most of them haven't quite worked out. I believe only one that I've seen so far has done well.
Been a couple of struggling performances across the board. And of course, with these team compositions locked in, one thing we haven't mentioned is the Mundo Lulu. I know it doesn't sound like a massive combo.
Tell me about this Mundo Lulu.
But the idea for RNG, or an idea I should say, for their Finnish team composition is that Mundo is a brick wall anyway. And now Mundo is a brick wall with a potential Lulu to help stand in front of everybody. And then he's a big Mundo that slows everyone around him with the cleavers and with the Lulu and doesn't die anyway. So depending on how the fights go, if it is just front to back and no one gets access to Uzi, you could just empower that Mundo and he'll win.
Potentially. I mean, one of the big factors about Mundo was with the current state of the meta, not many AD carries being played, difficult to cut him down. But Xayah does fit that identity of someone who can get the consistent damage onto Dr. Mundo. Let's see if it's going to be enough. And Cassiopeia trying to lock him down. But it's just so standard between RNG and JD. I wanted RNG to come back and throw us a big fiesta, but no feast today. It's just all standard between these two squads. We already saw Kai'Sa being thrown to the top lane as the big change for RNG in game one. But you'd have to expect standard lanes, standard positions going into this match.
Yeah, that'll be the expectations for sure as we do get into this second game. And I respect it from both teams. You know, I'm not surprised that RNG plays standard, but I'm very pleased to see that JD has said, we'll meet you in the middle and we'll take you down.
And we'll be able to keep track of how RNG go up against JDG. We're loading onto Summoner's Rift for the second match. As we give you a guided T-Tours around the Rift, we're actually going to jump over to the other match that we've been keeping track of. Snake going up against Team WE. There was a dragon fight that led to a Baron buff. Missing, trying to jump into the back lines. The rest of Snake disengage, and just was a full-on brawl. Irelia trying to jump in. Wudia even forced the flash over the wall. Big one-on-one between Flandre and Gentle, of all people. Varus going at it. It's going to be the gameplay against taken down in that one-on-one. But for the rest of the map, WE try to fight back. Snake disengaging. Walkway even trying to jump in as well. It's chaotic, it's bloody, it's bloodthirsty. WE come out on top after Snake stole the Baron earlier. WE win this.
And the Karthus ultimate, of course, to hit it home and make sure the rest of the kills go down. Team WE doing a lot of work there. I think they've scaled up a little bit too far, Fish, with the Karthus Nunu, something that we saw before the game was remade. Here we go, strategies.
It was a big good night coming out from that Karthus, and after that, WE picked up Baron. Game's still going on, so we'll keep you updated on how that goes. But as you said, strategies. Loken going over towards red buff. And teleporting top lane. Double lane swap coming out from these two teams, but in the mid lane, flash forward, not going to be enough. He tries to predict it, doesn't matter. First blood picked up by Yikao.
That was actually pretty sick from Clid. He hits the target on the mark, and just in case, he flashes to exactly where Xiaohu would flash if he would have dodged.
Well played.
Kill secured is well played, and the safety flash, I like it a lot.
Very respectful coming out from Clid as well, expecting Xiaohu to flash away. He holds on to his summoners, so he gets a small advantage from that. But no teleport for Lulu. Holding exhaust, can't get back against that lane.
That's the other thing. He doesn't have the teleport. A lot of Lulus would be wanting to run that one, so not to be seen. Ming also, take note, doesn't have flash available, has Hex Flash currently running.
Hello?
So that was used somewhere. Zoom also doesn't have a flash of his own, so we can just speculate that that was, of course, where it was used in the end. Cleared bottom.
Yep, Mundo in some trouble. It's a pirate and a sword, knife, leg lady going up against Dr. Mundo. Let me gets locked down to just under 300 hit points, forced to use his summoner. But Zoom and Clid can't get the kill.
And I will say, of course, that's where Clid not having the flash comes to hurt him. He could have used the hookshot earlier into the piece, maybe the minion damage and Zoom. They get more damage off to find it, but
they're not done yet.
Threatening the dive.
Going into the bottom lane, a teleport comes through. Clid's going to tank some turret aggro, but Uzi forced down into this. Oh my, look at that wave!
Oh, poor Let Me, man. Now he has to go back to base, walk all the way to top lane. Oh god, another teleport.
Hello? Please, just stay in your damn lanes. Stop moving around the map so fast. I'm too old for this.
Like I'm driving in Australia.
What?
Stay in your lanes.
Oh no.
That wasn't even... Now I had... You know what? That's fine.
Oh, it's not.
Well, it was.
Not anymore. Teleports everywhere. Zoom, Logan.
There's one left.
Both using theirs. Let me using his back into lane top side map, but that's pretty sick. Uzi pushes out his lane, and then he's like, you know what? Let me capitalize on you being ganked, let me, but as payment, you have to give me all your CS. I now have 37.
He's very far ahead in farm. He's racing the clock at 4 minutes in.
My goodness. This is not okay. Somehow, the hyper carry for RNG has been able to find himself 26 CS ahead that early into the
He has a
match.
lot of CS early, but at the same time, Loken is the one who suffers from this. And this actually all starts from what happens at level 1, right? Loken, at the red buff, they take the red away and it's good, but then he teleports to the top lane. So Uzi just teleports to bottom lane, catches the farm, and Loken now stuck up there, can't respond, can't threaten anything. And you would say it's not a big deal, hasn't lost the game, but in hindsight, maybe that could result in a turret. Maybe that could result in something to be gained from them in the end.
We'll have to keep track of those teleports, but just keeps Let Me alive and gives a big farm advantage to Uzi for the moment. Mundo still going up against Pirate. Mr. Zoom, I should say. Pushing in a big wave underneath the turret. Clit is close by, but Let Me should play this one nice and safe. And we saw the lane swaps come out. Yes, in the first match we saw Uzi top side of the map, but this time JD tried to respond, and it was Illusion that went into the top lane. We speculated lane swaps could become a thing with the current meta, but we haven't seen too many of them. We've seen one being used so far, I believe, in the LPL. And this was a little bit of one, but not too much.
Yeah, the first lane swap that we saw in the LPL was LGD playing against Invictus Gaming. The reason that we saw that lane swap, I feel like, is simply because LGD were just comprehensively outclassed by their opponents. They had a sub in the support position because PYL was sick. They tried something different. Mid lane.
Yeah, Gao in some trouble. Locked down by Xiaohu. Caster's trying to chase her, but Clit is here.
Oh,
Stops him. Gets Caster. Caster, I'm still going forward. Now turning back to Clit, but it doesn't matter. He gets that first kill onto Xiaohu. Ming trying to rotate. Let Me's climbing down as well. Clit wants to try and escape for this one. Blast Cone is available. Jumps over the wall. Mundo File does not connect. Let Me still trying to wrap around. Clit trying to hook shot away. Jumps further forward. The Cleaver's going to come back out. Doesn't dodge it. Hits him. Low sleep will slow both of them down. And Pirate's coming back down as well. Zoom wants to join this fight. The shield is there for Clit, but he can't escape. Tries his hardest, but it's not enough. 1-for-1 trade.
The longest chase that in the end was just saved by Let Me hitting all those cleavers. Uzi and Ming have become mid laners through all this time, and he's got 65 CS at 6 minutes into the game. So RNG still doing a lot of work through their bottom lane, controlling the map decently well. But you have to give credit to Clid for he's still playing it decently well.
He certainly is. But Caster's moving back towards top side map. Zoom using his ultimate. Has already eaten a couple of oranges, but he's not K here, Rusty. Caster gets that kill. RNG find another.
Just going to prey on Zoom. Has got the flash, chooses not to use that one. Caster, of course, holding the dash of his own to follow that one forward. So nice execution once again from RNG. The jungle top lane duo, the subs that came in this second game, showing up.
Both junglers for RNG so far, playing the exact same champion. Exact same start. 2-0 for Caster so far. MLSG had a nice 4-0 start. We're not going to talk about what happened after his 4-0 start.
All that's left for Caster to do is 2 more kills, then to die twice. That is the MLXG special.
Let's see if he does just that, because Caster is known as that methodical, more relaxed, calm player. Just to remind everyone watching at home, panda.com/LPL or doyu.com/TV/LPL is where you can catch the WE versus Snake game. That was unfortunately delayed, and there was a long pause that came out due to a chrono break and a remake. If you want to catch the action, the Chinese broadcast has you covered, but we're going to go ahead with the RNG JD match, and we'll bring you updates wherever we can.
You know, the craziest thing about this game, as the early game aggression settles down, is it's only 400 to 500 difference between each team in gold.
2 kills each, fairly even, no turrets taken just yet.
With a 30 CS lead for the AD carry position, with 2 kills on the jungler, you'd expect a little bit more in terms of gold lead. It's only just starting to stretch now.
It's also Xiaohu being taken down twice. He could be knocked out of lane a little bit then. JD going to try and take more. Uzi and Ming stuck in the bottom lane. Wow, Ming stops Clint for jumping back on. Now Loken's in some trouble. Everyone from RNG looking to collapse. Caster jumping in is level 6. Caster Cassiopeia is there. Yakao can stop RNG from pushing forward, holding on to that petrifying gaze, throwing back immediately. As soon as Yakao looks at them, they dash back. Kasa and Uzi do it twice, dodge away from the petrifying gaze, only force JD to retreat more back into their base, but cute mechanical plays coming out from RNG.
We are learning a lot about Camille interactions in this game. Every individual member seems to have it on lock. They know what the play is going to be. In this case, Ming gets to use the headbutt, see how the interaction works. Well, they swap places, but it means that the stun's not going to find Uzi, so he's able to safely walk it out. And then RNG, the reinforcements arrive, and they tried to get that re-engage.
The respect, Kasa and Uzi trying to follow through against Yakao using that petrifying gaze. Now another gank coming through. Clid, he's right there. He's waiting in the wings in case they try to dash forward.
You can see Yakao expertly trying to bait that one in, still separating himself from the turret. That is where you want to position yourself because they'll feel like they're more confident in going for you. But now it's risky. There's a third member nearby from RNG, and Clid has disappeared. He's gone towards top lane.
Uzi's going to teleport into the bottom lane as well, picks up 6 CS for himself. Worth, Kasa's been spotted. Does have Ming close by. Lumao a level behind Alistar. Doesn't want to go for that fight just yet. Uzi's so far ahead with the Bilgewater Cutlass. But JD are looking to try classic the Xiaohu. Locked down, Myers was there. Ultimate comes out as well as the Cannon Barrage. Pops the ultimate on himself. One more Twin Fangs, enough. Yakao finds it, squeezes the toothpaste house, gets another kill.
Unrelenting pressure in this middle lane from Clid. He's been hovering the area for quite some time. In the one moment that RNG, they all look towards bottom lane, perhaps setting themselves up for that dive. Xiaohu goes down yet again. No flash available for about a minute, so very good work from JD preying on him.
They're going for a dive, but Loken is level 6, but their target is going to be Lumao. Ignite is ticking, Uzi goes forward, gets that kill. Loken now stuck underneath the turret. The culling is going through. Loken at half health, still has flash, still has his ultimate, keeping them at bay, clearing out the minions at the same time. Not able to rip the pedal backs to lock them down under the turret, but keeps himself alive.
Good from Loken to stay alive, and you could expect RNG even to continue to push forwards if they wanted to do so, threaten him away from the minions as they started to crash.
And we see another team fight going up between WE as well as Snake. WE pick up the Elder Dragon fight, pick up the ace, and start marching towards Snake's base. We didn't get an update on if that was a one game from WE just yet, but it was a very close back and forth fight.
I know where you can find out if it was a one-game finish.
Yeah, doyu.com/tv/LPL, panda.com/LPL.
He's got it.
That's where you can find all the action. The Chinese broadcast has you covered, and you can see it's still going on. Big back and forth fight, but so many people from Team WE died that I believe the game is still going on. That has not resolved just yet. Back and forth between the two. It was a great match to watch in game number 1. Unfortunately, technical difficulties rolled us over to this match between RNG and JD.
When watching League of Legends, you often find yourself thinking, what is the best CS that a player could possibly have? And usually you would say at 10 minutes, if you could have 100 CS, you're doing incredibly well for yourself. Now, we've just watched an AD carry player from 4 minutes have 40 CS. Matching the clock is a skill in League of Legends. You could practice it constantly. Sit in a lane by yourself and last it perfectly. That's better than that. And he's been better than that since 4 minutes.
Was it Caps who picked up the record for CS at 20 recently? I believe someone from the EULCS just picked up the record for CS at 20.
They take it from Froggen.
The other night. They took it from Froggen. I can't remember which player it was, but I believe it was Caps. I could be wrong. I remember reading about it this morning. I'm not sure who it was, but Uzi's got a long way to go. But there's been a couple of players in the LPL who love this meta and are farming up Storms. Uzi's one of them.
Oh, you know who doesn't love this meta
SFL
right
was
now?
the other. It seems like Xiaohu's going to be the man that doesn't.
He's having a bad day.
He's got Kasa now, though. He's got reinforcements.
But if you look behind Kasa, you can see the rest of JD ready to collapse on them as well. The game of chicken commences.
It's a Jin-Dong delivery, Rusty.
But remember that JD will lose their turret if they commit to this.
They're trying to collapse. Nice dodge from Kasa. Turns around, says, not today, Snake Lady. This is not the Snake Pit. This is our home arena. Chasing out Clitter now. Running over towards the Rift Tail. Does have hook shot available. Kasa's not done yet. Tries to hook over the wall. Gets to the blast cone and back to safety. Opening up opportunities across the map, though, because Let Me wants to fight Zoom. Uzi's taken down a turret as well, and RNG are slowly breaking open the game.
Yeah, Zoom has to run away. The bottom lane tower goes down, and RNG collect the gold this time. 650 into the pockets of Uzi. First turret in the game, an extra kill in mid lane, and Kasa, let me tell you, he is styling on everyone right now. Woo! That is the second Cassiopeia ultimate that he is just casually turned around for. His finger is on the pulse. He is so ready to go.
Oh, Clid might be in some trouble. Uzi's here. Ming watches him walk around. They have no idea that this duo is here. They started on Wolves.
They know he's at Wolves, but they don't know where he's going to go after those. He has no real reason to go to the river, though.
Hello.
That was close.
Kasa now going to be able
Now
to
he's
find
going
Yakao. Control ward. Ming's trying to walk in between two turrets. Kasa in trouble. Twin Fangs coming out. Xiaohu puts down the exhaust. Kasa jumps back in. But the cannon barrage is going to be enough for that final tick of damage. Clid wasn't jumping as well. Just holds it. Xiaohu says, not today, please. Please stop ganking me. I've died 3 times. No more.
And just like that, you compliment a player, he undoes his own work, goes for the 1v1 against the Cassiopeia without the ultimate and still goes down, not going to be able to find those kills.
We were close. He was 3-0-1, so technically 4 kills.
Not pulling an MLXG. Kasa's going to redefine it and pull a Kasa. 3 kills before 4.
3 kills. And then go towards that. So I was wrong. It wasn't Caps that picked up the 300 CS at 20 minutes. It was Perks that got it, breaking Froggen's old record. 1944 was the exact time he picked it up.
I was going to say, I'm not sure how Caps did it when Fnatic were losing every early game, because they lost game 1 and the second one they probably shouldn't have won. However, here we are.
Caps did it the game before that at 2035, Rusty.
Still lose myself wondering how that happens at all. Anyway,
there's still 1-1 in the US. Split going for a big dive in the bottom lane in the LPL. Mundo not going where he pleases at the moment, because Yakao's going to take him down for another kill. 3-1-2 with Cassiopeia.
And JD have just completely undone a lot of the good things that RNG had set up for themselves, one after the other. Of course, the Herald will make the difference. RNG, time and again, they've got the trade. They've got the next step ready for themselves. But still compliments to JD. They're doing things. They're proactive. They're going forwards. They're making plays.
Fighting fire with fire. Yes, this Rift L will get a good charge. Takes the turret down to about half health, but JD should be able to hold on to it. Ming's got a couple of curious ideas though here, Rusty. What's he doing over there?
You never really know with Ming. He's one of the more unique Alistar players that we've seen in the LPL. The first week of spring, he had that big play, the dropship, the Rise ultimate throwing him behind an entire team.
Ooh, that was nice.
And he didn't even use his headbutt pulverize combo. He just stood there and said, I dare you.
Yeah, walk back towards your own base.
Yeah, so RNG able to do a lot of unique things with their support in Ming when he plays Alistar. And it's beautiful to watch. Of course, in this game, they're still in the lead here, RNG, but it's not a comprehensive victory for themselves just yet.
No, it's not. We did see Ming play it patiently, disengage, move away from JD's side of the jungle, but RNG were able to take down top lane out of turret, mid lane out of turret, while the dive happened on Let Me, with only bottom lane out of falling. So they have a comfortable lead of about 2,000 gold 15 minutes in.
Yeah, they're in a decent spot, but the place that you have to look at is the mid lane. So with the Lulu that's being behind, a lot of people will naturally say, well, Lulu's still relevant. She can empower the Lucian, and that's absolutely true. But a 0-3 Lulu that is still not even at 1 complete item isn't all that relevant herself. And the way that JD have been playing, and with all the AoE that they've got, there's still a very high chance that Xiaohu is just inconsequential. He just dies somehow in the side from all of the AoE that they've got. He's super fragile and even rushed to Luden's Echo. Let Me. He's
locked down. He's already popped his ultimate to try and run away. Yakao wants to try and lock him down as well. Lumao, not going to get close enough.
The cage.
I saw a flash there, but it wasn't.
Was let
it was
down.
Let Me's flash.
It was, yeah. It was the ultimate from Lumao that just had the animation sounds as well. But he survives. Ultimates used across the board. I think a lot of that was just, it was there a bit late. The ultimate from Camille was used a little bit early. And the Cassiopeia couldn't even apply the slow, the W onto him. And now Zoom, respect on the other side as they start to gain.
He is a gangplank though, so it's much easier to kill Zoom with a dive in the top side of the map. Does have good wave clear, however. Gives enough time for Loken to move up here. Going to try and clear the wave as well. Uzi chips away at the turret, but they don't get anything with the rotation towards top side. This entire time, JD Gaming are pushing through with the mid lane. It's Clid that's dealing with that minion wave. Yakao with teleported Cassiopeia is still on the bottom side of the map, going up against Dr. Mundo at the moment.
Yeah, and to come back to the Uzi point that I was making as well, Xiaohu being 0-3 with the Luden's Echo, he's going to do some damage, super fragile. That actually puts more reliance on Uzi being positioned very well, and you know full well that he'll do his best to do so. With assassins running around that could take him down, with the Gangplank kegs, with the Zarya damage, with Yagao in particular, and Clid who can assassinate you. There's a lot of threats to consider for a low-range, high-mobility AD carry. And being mobile doesn't mean a lot when you're stuck in the arena. So that's where you look at the rest of RNG as important factors. Kasa is #1 with the ultimate, can knock you around, perhaps help him from Camille, and Ming the exact same. So for all of this, Uzi's important, but Ming and Kasa are more important even than Xiaohu right now.
Kasa can also be a threat, try and take away from the focus of Uzi during those fights.
Going Trinity Force as well.
He is, picking up as much damage as possible. And speaking of builds, we even have Uzi going towards Blade of the Ruin King, followed by Black Cleaver second. Not rushing the Essence Reaver as we've seen from some of the Lucians in the LPL.
And there should be Berserker Greaves, but we'll see if that dagger goes into something else. Of course, it should be the Essence Reaver third. That is the prototypical build for Lucian. These two items, then Essence Reaver, and you will be ice skating everywhere. You have the cooldown reduction. You've got the levels in your E as well.
Whereas Loken, who is a kill and 50 CS behind, is just sitting on that Essence Reaver at the moment. 2,000 gold behind Uzi right now. Xiaohu is 1,000 behind Yakao to flip the tables. Whereas 2,000 lead for Cast is not going to matter if Kud's able to lock him down because teleports are coming through, flashes away. Yakao and
Everyone's
Loken
in.
both joining this fight. Lulu trying to buff up Cast, but another Twin Fang's going to come through. Yakao gets a kill and poor little Pix stuck inside the Dragon Pit. Clint jumps over the wall, locks him down! Xiaohu, the little tiger, gets taken down by the double kill. Uzi wants to skate around, but Miasma says, not today, King! You'll be cut down! Only let me left alive to run away from that fight. Ming! Nowhere to be seen.
And JD Gaming are just preying on RNG. 3 members dead. Of course, the Mundo will be able to teleport out. Okay.
Yay.
Gets himself back to the base. The end result still heavily favoring JD, but there's no Baron. There's no Dragon. There's no objective for them to take. And RNG can just count their blessings if that's the case. That team fight happened at 20 minutes. Baron was theirs.
Ooh, but 27 seconds too late for JD to pick up the Baron off the back of that. 1,000 gold lead now in favor of JD, and we said this at the end of last game, at the beginning of this match. JD are fighting fire with fire constantly. Here's the end to that second match. Team WE taking on Snake. It was back and forth the whole way. SFM stealing a Baron to bring it back in. Then an Elder Dragon fight that went WE's way for an ace later on. But it was Snake that eventually took down the Nexus. That one is going to Game 3. You can watch all the action, douyou.com/TV/LPL or panda.tv/LPL, where the Chinese broadcast has you covered. We don't have any English broadcast for that, but we will feed you updates throughout the rest of this series as that game goes on.
Well, I'm buggered if I know how Snake managed to win that one.
Huh?
We saw the competitions before, so
I'm going home and watching that tonight.
yeah, we'll have to VOD review our way through that mess. It looked beautiful, though, to see Snake get a victory.
It looked beautiful to see the big fiesta of team fights as well.
Naturally.
A lot more for play-by-plays, it definitely is. I know Max Atlas Anderson is having a jolly old time in the LCK at the moment. Pulse is beside himself with all the interesting picks that are coming out with the current meta.
He's finally in meta, so he's having a grand time. Of course, maybe not so much when you're a hipster for champions that aren't meant to be picked. The second they're picked, you feel bad about it.
What? What's wrong with the champions Pulse plays? They're fantastic champions.
Nothing wrong with the champions. I said if he's going to hipster them, then they're no longer...
Oh, that... I get it. Sorry, I'm too old for the reference. I'm an old man, Rusty, okay?
You're younger than me, bro.
That is not true. I'm about 64. Now, this game's only been going for
Dog
21
age.
minutes. Clit's still farming through the rest of his jungle. We can keep track of the score so far. It's just 4 to 8 kills. JD are leading at the moment with a 1,000 gold lead. They turned around a pick that was going in RNG's favor in the bottom lane. Clit's been playing incredibly well. 1-1-5 on this Camille. Had a good game 1. Now, in Game 2, synergizing so well with Yakao. We saw this so much during Spring Split, and it has to be mentioned time and time again because these two have great synergy.
The gangs have been incredible, and it started at level 2. Most of the time, you'll see a lot of the side laners place wards for level 2 ganks. Mid laners, not so much. Camille is one of those few champions that gains very easy access to the middle lane. And that's just such a difficult thing to ward for in the first place. You get to choose one side, and then you play towards that side, but they could also wrap it the long way towards your lane, right? So playing mid lane against junglers right now is a nightmare at times.
It is.
Yagao is the benefactor of this above all else. 5, 1, and 3. Ridiculous amounts of gold ahead.
I mean, it's even more of a nightmare when you play against teams like JD who still go for the very heavy jungle mid lane synergy and priority. Something that some teams have moved away from. We see teams like Snake now putting a support mid lane and supporting the jungler instead, so not as much aggression there. Teams like RNG, where sometimes Kasa, yes, will be all up in your face in the mid lane when Malzahar's picked up by Xiaohu, but now there's a Lulu. It's not too much that Xin Zhao can do. He has to focus on the other side of the map. So JD,
here they go.
Still focusing on that priority and still working out for them, still keeping their identity, looking to try and see if they can find a pick around Baron.
They didn't clear the ward that is in the Baron pit, and they're still not going to do so. Of course, they'll get every other piece of vision around it.
Very
and
sad.
to see if they place a control ward inside the pit itself. That is what the expectation will be. But this is the point in the game, this steady moment where everything slows down, where JD seem to have control of the river. that they lost last game. They just missed the execution. Loken was caught out of position, caused the 4v5, and suddenly the game just ended. Very abruptly, I might add. But in this game, Yagao is the point of focus. Can he actually keep himself alive, sustain through any kind of threats that RNG show? And can JD as a team set up their vision and do the Baron they are infamously bad at?
Can they? That's the big question, because you're right. Mako stole the Baron from JD before with Winter's Bite on Brom. Throwing a chair at Baron was enough to steal that from them, so they're a bit shy.
They're super psyched out with Barons, though, because you can feel like a stiff breeze could just pass through and steal it away from them somehow.
Which was sad, because we watched them in the last match. They set up for Baron well. They made sure they played the footsies around the pit against RNG fairly well, but Loken did get picked out, which gave them the opportunity to go for the Baron, and JD lost it that way.
Yeah, and granted, the thing that caught him out of position was a Kaiser W with a Shen coming onto Uzi's back as he altered all that distance. That's not something you can expect and really work around.
It's just where you go unlucky, really.
It's just the way the cookie crumbles.
Costed them a match, though. JD now is trying to fight back in game 2 and doing incredibly well so far. Taking a look at some of the item builds that are coming through. Uzi going for QSS again. We noticed this through the latter half of Spring Split.
Oh,
that was his favorite item at third, but we can't talk about that just yet because Yagao is going to be able to lock both of these members coming in for a gank. And again, the counter teleports coming through for JD. The Twin Fakes don't do anything to Kasa because he's out of range at the moment. Ultimate comes out from Lulu, but Kasa is going to fall. JD counter the gank again. They find a pick on RNG Jungle near the Baron pit.
And it's a nice idea from RNG, but it was not a full team commitment. It was just two members looking for the pick-off. They don't get what they're after, and suddenly JD, they get the kill, and now they've been bested through the map control.
And you'd have to think if this was some other team, the first instinct would be like, go to Baron, but JD still have that idea after taking top lane.
There they go. All right, they're on. Baron was spooky for a couple seconds, but they've watched RNG farming mid lane.
They said we can do it.
They know they've got map control.
3,000 hit points, going down very low. The feathers have been ripped back 500. Smite! JD do it. They secure Baron against RNG. Now they just have to disengage. Caster's not there. It's still a 4-on-5, but they're being very respectful against RNG.
Uzi and Xiaohu were threatening on the flank, and of course you could see Ming and Let Me working together, but they were the engage and they were separated from the damage. So JD just very smartly and very calmly will walk themselves to safety and get behind their own vision. They go back to base. Now, JD have got the Baron. In game number 1, there was a chance they were able to win that game. Yagao was having a fantastic showing, but in this next game, he's got the Cassiopeia, and he's doing even better. And now they've got the tools to win.
But how the turntables, Rusty? JD, this time they're the ones.
DJ mixes.
This is the time that JD get the counter pick against RNG. They don't lose Loken. They don't lose Yagao. And Caster's going to be the victim once again. Locked down by Clear. Does get knocked out by the ultimate. They charge back in. Another pick for JD, and they still have 2.5 minutes of Baron buff to work with.
And not even a flash available for him. It was a cute idea from Caster there, of course. Use his own ultimate to sweep the Camille out of her arena and unlock himself further. But JD, now that it's a 4v5, now the Caster is gone. He's well and truly done his MLXG impression. JD will get the structures.
He certainly has. Goes for 3 kills, picks up a single assist, so technically 4. Then relentlessly has fed so far, which has been unfortunate for RNG. They've been trying to look for these picks. They've been the ones that have been proactive, but JD are quick to counter. Yagao has been the star of the show. 7-1-3 on the Cassiopeia. JD take down another turret. They've got a 6,000, close to 6,000 gold lead, I should say. And they picked up another Infernal Dragon.
And we'll get to see this fight once again on Yagao in the top lane. Xiaohu very weak, so a lot of the damage was reliant on Caster. And it makes you wonder if they really could get the kill at all in the first place. As Caster actually tanked that stun, it looked like Clid was trying to find Xiaohu, get the 2-for-1 special instead. But just the one to be seen, Caster locks him down.
Could have been a mistake, but that sacrifice stopped at least Xiaohu from falling as well. Ardent Sensor is the second item that Xiaohu has gone for, and I wanted to talk about Uzi's pickup of the QSS, because that's something that we saw him do throughout the latter half of Spring Split. Even when it didn't look like there was concrete crowd control that would lock him down all the time, he always went towards this QSS as his third item. Values the safety in having it.
Ming, so just keep that in the back of your mind.
He's waiting. Do RNG really want to pick a fight here, though?
Well,
yes, he does. Lu Mao going to be the target. Locked down, headbutted, does go over the wall. Caster now jumps back in, but Lu Mao says no. You don't pick a fight, I pick a fight against you. Casa does get the kill, but he falls for it. Uzi's now trying to ice skate around. Zoom flashing forward. Clear jumping in, but flashes on the spot. Still gets the kill by moving forward. Hextech ultimatum's going to be enough. And it's now Letme's job just to clear out the minions. Everyone from RNG wants to get back to base as soon as possible.
But the 3 minions are going to be more than enough for just the inhibitor. They'll go towards top lane, you would assume, after this, but JD, they've got other plans.
Do they?
They've changed their mind.
JD want to end the game right here, right now. Letme is going to try and teleport back and put up a 3-on-4 defense. Mundo's jumping in. Clid's in some trouble. Uses his own stopwatch. Disengages from the turret. Hook shots onto the rubble, but it's not going to be enough. Letme gets that kill. JD do take down one turret. Knock the second down to half health. And the last 3 members with 10 seconds of Baron buff left are going to disengage.
And the second they start feeling themselves, they say, we can end this game right now. They try and go for the second turret, but he could have just taken the one and left. So they do lose a member. Clid does die, and it buys time for RNG, and the Baron will subside from the time that it purchases. However, it's still a major victory for JD game.
If there was any patch to try and rush a finish like that, this is the patch to do it on, because turrets and the inhibitors or near the next to be nerfed in terms of hit points, but increased regeneration. Heals the defense. Letme just jumps in, takes down Clid.
The teleport from Letme to the correct turret, luckily. Loken not going to be able to apply any damage to him whatsoever, and Clid had just overextended himself, so he goes down. But they also got the turret in the top lane for their troubles, and perhaps that was what they were speaking towards one another. It was pinged, and maybe the reorganization of their lane assignments was, well, it's going to die anyway, let's just get some turrets in mid if we can.
But aggressive coming up from RNG. We gave praise to JD for trying to fight back in game 1, especially in game 2, with fire. RNG have done the exact same thing. Hasn't worked out for them, but Ming is still looking for those opportunities, looking for the flanks, and even the Hex Flash play that we saw from him earlier. Didn't work out. JD now in the lead. They have a Banner of Command minion, but the culling's going to be used by Uzi. Doesn't have Essence Reaver yet, so doesn't have the buffed up auto attacks and resets of cooldowns, but does clear out that massive wave that was pushing towards the bottom side of the map.
It looks like they're far enough ahead that it doesn't matter too much, but no grievous wounds to be seen besides the Ignite from Lumao and a Morello's from Yagao for this Mundo.
Okay.
The target selection needs to be super important here, otherwise that Mundo at level 16 will sustain through every piece of damage Loken applies.
But it's given Loken good items. He's picked up 3. Rapid Fire Cannon, Infinity Edge, already complete. Even the Essence Reaver to boot. So that's 3 good items for a crit 80 carry, something we don't see too much of recently.
Makes you wonder how RNG are going to be able to buy enough time to persevere through this game with the items that Loken has picked up for himself. Still fairly good at tank shredding, even if there is no grievous wounds. That means that if Mundo doesn't have that ultimate that will sustain him, he will get absolutely melted.
Luckily, Yagao does do damage over time and has consistent damage, so the Morello Nomicon should be able to reply to him, but we'll have to keep track of it during the next fight against Letme. Even though Loken has these crit items complete, he doesn't have the buffs that RNG can provide for Uzi. I mean, there's a Lulu as well as an Alistar to protect him. Casa and Letme being brick walls as well as having the ultimate available to knock people back. And then you look at the items. Ardent Sensor, Zeke's Harbinger being picked up. He might not be a crit carry, but he will get plenty of buffs in the next few team fights.
Of course, Caster, as far as brick walls go, is about ultimate. It doesn't matter, he got rid of it. Ultimate utility is the big tanky tool for Caster. He's gone for the Trinity Force, it's completed, and he has a stopwatch now, so that's what you call acknowledgement of the game state. He knows that he has to tank, but he also knows that he can't tank, so he's chosen to go towards a single-use item that if they win one more team fight, the stopwatch will come in very handy, because that's all that is left. If they lose one more team fight, the game is over. That's where the stopwatch is actually a very smart item choice.
Team fighting 8,000 gold behind against a scaling 80 carry, scaling mage in the mid lane, and a gangplank. Now is the Storm Razor complete. The Steris Gauge, Gwinsu's and Trinity Force, the component left of his final item.
If I could ever name a team that would be able to win a team fight 8,000 gold down, it would be RNG.
Not EDG?
EDG can't really late game team fight that well. They're more known for their mid game. But RNG, of course, we watched them do it at MSI to win the finals in the fall.
We did. But this is a new meta. This is a completely different patch. Games are slightly faster and very volatile at that. So let's see if this is considered late game enough for RNG. We need to find that pick. Xiaohu's not on the playmaker of the likes of Malzahar that we saw from game 1 and from what we saw in the MSL finals. The big call from Uzi. QSS is down for him to flash forward.
Yeah, this next Baron, I think, is what it's going to be, Fish, though. Can they get that team fight? Well, the Baron is the objective that may bait JD in or psych them out.
Please don't do it to JD.
See if it happens. This is the Baron that wins the game. The last one gave them the big enough lead. They don't need to do it. Look at Clid. He will actually reroute RNG right now.
Sure, he's happy. He's happy to just move and shuffle minions into the base. A small wave, but enough to make RNG go for a fight. Big knockup! RNG find him. Ming gets into the back lines. Loken is staying alive. Uzi's left untouched, but Yagao, the star mid laner, gets Mundo File down. Uzi relentlessly pursues Loken. One more W. It's gonna barely miss. RNG still not out of the woods just yet. Clint collapsing. Ming with a good pulverize. Uzi still chasing. The W tags him, but he's regenerated enough health to stay alive. Clint still chasing. Uzi in trouble. He has to disengage. Now gets locked down by Hexattack, but it will be a good headbutt coming out of Ming. Uzi barely survives. The damage over time not enough. Another pulverize. Uzi jumping back in. Zoom wants to get into the fight as well. Lemmy's rejoining with the teleport. Jumps in, tries to flash forward, doesn't get it, but Guardian Angel broken. Loken's healed up slightly, trying to regenerate, and Uzi's eating as much fruit as he bloody can. Big team fight between RNG and JDG.
Clid just keeps them busy for so long, and long enough that the rest of the team of JD respawns, teleports almost available, and they go straight back over to the Baron buff. Casa has respawned, however. Let Me has as well, but he doesn't have the teleport. He's here.
They're baiting. Clid does not get the damage, does not get the stun, but Let Me down to half health. Teleport's coming in for JD, big flank. Limao joining in as well. Yagao can taste it. Uzi already using the QSS. Gets a shield from Xiaohu. Dashing backwards, kiting away. Mundo is so tanky. He will go where he pleases at the moment. Casa even joining in. Takes no damage from his ultimate. It's a chaotic back and forth fight. RNG don't lose anyone in the mix of it.
It's just mayhem. Just absolute madness breaks out on the Rift all at once for a series of plays for 2 odd minutes.
It's
no
insanity.
one loses.
It's not stopping.
And now another teleport from RNG. This time they're going to hit the Baron.
And it's Uzi that jumps back into this fight. Yagao is waiting.
And another one.
JD's throwing them in. They're trying to pile on in. DJ Cullen says another one's coming down. RNG trying to take this one up. The spike comes through and they pick it up. Carter secures it, but at what cost? Because Ming already dead. Uzi stuck in the backside of the pit. 3 members from RNG falling. Double kill to the Pirate. Let Me and Xiao is all that remains picking up Baron buff.
Now Xiaohu has to clear the mid wave right now or they lose the game. JD have sent Zoom on kill them all duty, whilst the rest of the team tries to push top lane. This is a very risky position for RNG.
It was crucial though, because keeping Zoom occupied meant he could not stop the recall of Xiaohu. They're both back in base. They have Baron buff to try and defend, but can they hold out for the 25 seconds?
Yeah, it's 30 plus seconds. It's now getting down to 20 for just Casa. Ming up in 5. Can they actually stop this? Let Me has to tank it all.
And they only have 1 turret remaining. Let Me try his best. There's that super tank. Mundo holding on against them. There's one respawn.
Still alive.
Big pulverize. Knocks them all up. Inhibitors back up in the mid lane as well. JD can't find the finish. RNG live to fight another day. They just don't give up, Rusty.
And they stop JD from winning the game, and they get the Baron. You can hear the crowd. They're starting to feel it. RNG are coming back.
JD's so close every single time, punishing the fight. 10,000 gold of a lead. But Royal just never give up. They're gonna keep pushing through. Dragon's available, but how do they stabilize this game now?
We need to give these spectators a pay rise. There's the amount of stuff they need to take in this situation. They'll get the Dragon for themselves, RNG. Everything gets to finally calm down. I feel like for the past 5 minutes, at every moment, there's been a new member with a teleport, a new skirmish happening in 5v5s. I swear to God, Casa has died, respawned, walked in and died again 3 times now.
He's died every 5 minutes, Rusty, but look at this. Big base defense from Let Me.
And it's what we said in Champion Select. Let Me can absolutely be a massive beefy tank, stand in front of everyone.
And then Ming jumps in as well, delaying them even further.
That last bit, that's enough health for Let Me to get it all back and run at them one more time, continue to be that tank. You can't kill a Mundo. That's been acknowledged now, especially when Lulu is able to just protect him.
But look at the damage items being picked up on JD's side, the Rift. Last Whisper, yes, not the best of items at the moment, but that's going to cut through the armor of the tanks. Gangplank, full build, for Dominic Regard picked up. Cassiopeia's getting even closer as well. If she could buy boots, that would be a complete build. With the Dark Seal, but as a stopwatch at the moment.
I will say this much, the map still absolutely belongs to JD. In its entirety. RNG were able to sneak away a dragon. They've got the Baron, but that's going to go away in 45 seconds. But if RNG win one more team fight, you feel the tide of the game completely shifting because they will lose that map control.
But they have to win one more fight. For RNG, that could stabilize the game. For JDG, that could be the game here won, sending them to match point, equalizing the score against RNG at their home stadium in Beijing. Their first opening match in history might not repeat itself for RNG. They won their first match in the Spring Split. That was playing without Uzi. That was with Y4 and Able in the roster.
He's going to tank it up.
And it was close against IG. Looking to be close again against JDG.
Ming's got a flank.
Massive flank. He finds Axe to the backside, but locked down Lumao. Hero play. Knocked back as well. Using the ultimate as Alistar. Staying alive a bit longer. Zoom with his own. Casa jumping in the mix of it. Lumao in some trouble. Teleport coming in from Dr. Mundo. But Clint, he wants to go towards the base. Watch your mini-map though, because Clint is looking at those turrets. Zoom has killed one. Casa in trouble. Everyone actually trying to get back. Clint's on top of the Nexus. He might be able to win it here for JD. Uzi's trying to stop it, not going to be enough. JD equalized against RNG.
And Clint comes in clutch. Back towards the Nexus in front of the face of RNG when they go for the desperation team fight. So many heroic moments from individuals of JD Gaming. That came down to the wire. And RNG still on the back foot, nearly from the very beginning, you have to say. They were fighting, they were so resilient.
Buy Lumao a Gucci bag because LV Mao here. Twice he outsmarts Ming. Ming finds two big plays to try and bring RNG back into the game, but Lumao stops him both times.
We've said it about Ming. You know the flanks that he can get. You know the big plays that he can make. And he saw that the Cassiopeia W had been used. He saw that nothing was going to stop him from going in and making that play until a little Lumao came around and prevented him from doing so. And then Clid comes in big time.
Yeah, Gao carried the start of the match with his jungler of Clid. Zoom scaled up. Loken just did his job, dealt the persistent damage, stayed alive. And big hero plays from their support. RNG, this time it was their turn to fight fire with fire, and they did so, but it wasn't successful against JDG. They had the upper hand in game 2.
Yeah, they had a really hard time. I think a lot of this, again, is that the Cassiopeia was so fed that Uzi, man, he could not step up at all.
It was a chaotic game. It will be a difficult one to break down, but we're going to send it back to our analyst to do just that.
Yeah, absolutely well, Fish, and thank you so much. Now, I got two housekeeping things before we continue. The first is that we're going to break down Snake and WE. In fact, their second game just finished. You're absolutely right. It went to almost an hour, so we're going to break that down at the end of the segment. The second is, unfortunately, we will not be able to bring you any replays for this one. We don't have the capabilities, unfortunately. So it's a little bit unfortunate because I know, Clement, I know we would both want to see all of those replays, even the backdoor that came in at the end from Camille. But what we can do is break down Champion Select and break down everything that happened in that game to the best of our abilities. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at this Champion Select. So, you know, overall, it's not too crazy as much as we've seen so far in the split so far, Clement.
Yeah, I really love what Jingdong did here. They said what we told them to do basically in game 1 is get your soul lanes ahead, and they did get the 2 counter picks. They chose the red side themselves, got the Cassiopeia and Gangplank in the second rotation right there, and that really set them up pretty well for their lane domination. On the other side, RNG went for a more teamfight focus and protect the AD carry type of composition, of course, with the Lulu and the Lucian, a fabled champion on Uzi. I think the main problem that did happen with RNG overall this game was they did have a good early starting game. We saw this 2-0-0 starting from Xin Zhao, and they were getting ahead, very far ahead on Uzi, 30 CS to start the game up. However, when they went into the mid-game, I felt like they tried to force the 1-3-1 way too much. And what basically happened was Gangplank was much more useful than Mundo. You could see the Cannon Barrage come down. They were making picks all over the map, but Lemmy really wasn't there. He wasn't responding to them. And when he did get in the fight, he really couldn't affect the fight.
Right.
And also, during the 1-3-1 process, we saw Lemmy getting picked off multiple times. We saw a lot of failures from Xin Zhao trying to get picks onto the other side lanes as well, or Jingdong able to rotate faster as well. So overall, big, spicy game, but when RNG tried to slow it down, Jingdong picked up the pace, sped it through. They grouped up together much faster than RNG could handle, and they just took it away.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to really put a statement on it, Clement, I know you said to me that you felt that JD simply had the superior draft.
Oh, yeah, I actually did feel like that. They played it better, and to hammer it home again, Jingdong is the only team in the LPL to beat RNG both times that they face each other, and they did so both times again by taking down the solo laners. If you give them counter picks, you should expect this type of thing to happen.
Yeah, MVP is going to be cleared for this one, so congratulations to him coming in from the jungle. And I feel like he was also a big part of that victory there for JD. I mean, it was really just fast and furious. I mean, I've already said that for Suning Gaming, but I can definitely say the same for JD. They just definitely just go at you. And I think that's what they needed. You know, we had the conversation in game one. It's like, where's that spark on, right? Because they were like the Achilles heel to RNG, the only team to really just blast them within their own group. It was one of the reasons why we're saying, JD, this is a team which, for some reason, is able to hit above their weight sometimes, and RNG was one of the teams they were hitting multiple times. So it feels like they have managed to find that spark once again.
And I just think that against a team like Jingdong, who's young, but who's very talented, you actually want to slow the game down. You don't want to fight fire with fire and go head-to-head in terms of game pacing. 26 kills in like, I think 25 minutes or something. We were looking at the clock and we were surprised. It was like a pre-20-minute game at the start of this thing. And if you don't give them time to think, and that kind of means there isn't a reason to think. It's kind of by instinct that you just group up. Yeah, it's a good thing for Jingdong because all you do is you just group up and you bash heads against each other. And Jingdong are a very good team at that. That's pretty much what they grew up on.
So the secret to beating RNG is don't think. Because if they can't get in your head and know what you're thinking, then they can't win. They can't break you down.
I think you're simplifying the message a little bit. But
I love how I can see the cogs turning in Clement's head.
You're confusing me right there. I'm saying that RNG, man, you guys can slow it down a little bit and not try to like force the pacing so fast.
I can see you not taking the bait. That's absolutely fine, Clement. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Snake and WE game. We have the post-game screen for you as well. Now, there's going to be a couple things I'm going to be drawing your attention to right here. First of all is the game time, 53:50. Now, this is probably just blasted
longest game so far.
Yeah. First of all, longest game. 2, probably just destroy the average game time in the entire league itself, since we've only had a week of games, so a good job, guys. And of course, it went to this fashion as well. 1-1 after that crazy pause and the Corona break. So these guys absolutely just going at it right now.
Yeah, and the crazy thing was that in the end, the last orbital bombardment actually didn't kill anyone. It was so late into the game, but the Taric Ultimate, the Cosmic Radiance, what we saw from that team fight, they were able to negate it. It was kind of like the Empire Strikes Back, where you have the shields on Hoth still on, and nothing can get through those. And they were able to survive it, because Karthus Nunu is supposed to be this super deadly late game composition that nothing can handle with. You do have their Spellbinders there. That AP ratio on Karthus' Requiem is 0.75. So you're thinking about maybe like 1,000 AP coming down on your head, base damage 550. So it should be half the HP on every single player. But Snake somehow managed to still win it through.
Yeah, those shields on the half, man, absolutely going to do it. And also want to talk about the fact that this was a 53-minute game. And remember that change that came in? That was just like, if you get 2 Barons or like 2 Elder Dragons, that's your win condition, the game ends. Yep. Right? So Snake had 4. They had 4 Barons.
Did they have 2 Elder Drakes as well?
No, I think they had really 1. Yeah, it was 1 apiece, and on the opposite side, it was also 1 Baron. So there's a total of 5 Barons in that one game.
Yeah. No one was able to get to 2, because if you get to 2, Elemental Drakes are double
fair
and double Infernal down on that. That means 32%. So
it's big. Yeah, it's a lot for certain. But still, I'm pretty sure that 4 Barons should usually do it for you. Either way, that's what happened on that game, and we are going to take a short break. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back with the remainder of the Beijing series. But if the other series goes on long enough, we may check in on that one as well. We'll see you soon.
相信这支年轻气盛的京东，相信过程。